Hey guys, welcome to Online Yoga and Wellness with Raw Impact. I'm Kate Astle. Today you'll be joining me for a 45-minute Hatha Flow. And today we're going to start on our mats with our legs crossed. This is also week 3 of our self-awareness challenge. So we're looking to increase our awareness of ourselves through each of these classes. And today we're going to do that by starting with a 3-part belly breath. So if you sit on the mats with the legs crossed, remembering today to practice mindfully and listen to your body. So just sitting with the legs folded. If this is uncomfortable, you can take a cushion and place it underneath the sit bones just to elevate the hips up a little bit higher. So as you're sitting here, I'll just get you to close the eyes. I want you to lengthen through the spine. Imagining there is a piece of string at the top of the head, pulling it up towards the ceiling, lifting up through the spine, broadening through the chest. And we're going to take in a deep breath, roll the shoulders up to the ears and then down the back, allowing them to settle. Taking in another few breaths. Starting to become aware of our surroundings. Listening to the sounds within these 4 walls. Observing what you can smell. Observing any light flickering across the eyes. And then coming to what you can feel. Noticing the body's points of contact with the mat or with the ground. Observing any sensations within the body. Noticing the muscles, the joints. Feeling the temperature of the air dancing across the skin. Allowing the face to soften, relaxing the forehead and the jaw. Allowing the chin to tuck slightly, lengthening through the back of the neck. Starting to observe your breath. The inhale and the exhale. The pause between each. Noticing if the body feels heavy today or if it feels light. On your next breath, slowly taking one hand to the chest and one hand to the belly, and just observing and feeling the breath, feeling the expansion and contraction of the chest, observing the chest as it rises and falls. Observing without judgment and without changing it. Observing what comes naturally to you. Observing the length of the breath, whether it's shallow or deep. On the next inhale, we're going to breathe in 3 parts. Firstly to the chest, then the ribs, and then the belly. Pushing the belly button towards the hand, creating space as the lungs fill with air. As you exhale, drawing the belly button to the spine, breathing out from the ribs and then the chest. Breathing in again in the 3 parts. Following your breath here, continue lengthening the breath, breathing deep into the belly. Feeling the fresh oxygen as it travels throughout the body, to every cell, to the muscles and to the joints. Breathing in and breathing out in the 3 parts. The chest, the ribs, and the belly. Exhaling the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Continuing with the breath here. Focusing your awareness on the breath. Letting go of all thoughts and emotions and just observing the body. One more breath here. Placing both hands on the knees and rolling the shoulders. 3 big rolls. And then back in the opposite direction. And then allowing the shoulders to relax. Slowly straightening through both legs, walking them out on your mat, bending and straightening through the knees and the ankles, sitting up tall through the chest and through the spine. Gently massaging the legs, circulating the blood from the thighs and the hamstrings, down the calves to the feet. And then straightening through both legs, drawing the toes back towards you. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward, reaching for the toes. If you can't reach the toes, placing the hands on the shins, walking the hands closer to the ankles with each out breath. Taking in a deep breath here and allowing the body to rest over the legs. Using the breath here, deepening the stretch. One more breath. And then inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and allowing them to relax down by your sides. Folding the left leg and then folding the right leg. You can either place them in front or you can take the right leg and place it on top of the left leg. If the right knee is elevated, you can pop a pillow underneath the right knee just to support it. We're going to breathe in deep, lifting up through the chest, straight spine, and exhale. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling, and then turning the torso to the left, taking the right hand down to the left knee, the left hand behind the body as you twist and look behind. Keep lengthening through the spine, shoulder blades down the back, opening up through the chest. Inhaling the hands and torso back to center, and then twisting to the right, taking the left hand to the right knee, the right hand behind the body. Once again, lifting up through the chest, stretching through the spine. Inhaling the arms and torso back to center, and then exhale, folding forward. So making sure the sit bones stay down on the mat here as the upper body settles over the legs, opening through the right hip. Taking in a few deep breaths, allowing the body to rest over the legs. And then slowly walking the hands back towards the body as you lift up through the chest. Straightening through the right leg, straightening through the left leg. You can gently bend the knees and ankles, massage the legs as they come back to straightening, drawing the toes back towards you, lifting up through the chest. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling, and exhale, folding forward, reaching for the toes. Holding the shins if you can't reach the toes, and taking a deep breath in and allowing the upper body to settle. With each out breath, folding a little deeper. And then inhaling the hands back up to the ceiling, opening through the chest and allowing the arms to fall down by your sides. This time switching legs, folding the right leg first, and then the left in front or on top of the right leg. Once again, if the knee on the left side is elevated, you can place a pillow up underneath the knee. Lifting up through the chest, taking a deep breath in. And exhale. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling. Taking the left hand down to the right knee, the right hand behind the body as you twist and look behind. Stretching through the spine. And then inhaling the hands and torso back to center and twisting to the left, taking the right hand onto the left knee and looking behind. Shoulder blades down the back, lifting up through the spine. Inhaling the hands and torso back to center, and exhale, folding forward. Folding the upper body over the hips, making sure the sit bones stay firmly on the mat. Taking in a few breaths as the upper body settles down. You can walk the fingertips a little further away, breathing into the left hip. And then inhaling the hands up and down by your sides. Slowly straightening through the left leg, straightening through the right leg, bending and straightening the knees and the ankles, just releasing through the hips. Crossing the legs in front, shifting forward, coming over onto hands and knees and finding tabletop. So with tabletop, we want to make sure that the wrists are underneath the shoulders and the knees are underneath the hips. So here we're going to be taking in 5 breaths, cat-cow. So as we breathe in, we want to create space in the belly, dropping the belly button down to the mat, lifting up through the crown of the head. As you exhale, drawing the belly button to the spine, dropping the crown of the head down to the mat, tucking the tailbone. Breathing in, dropping the belly. And exhale, tucking the belly button to the spine. Following your breath here for 3 more breaths. One more breath. And then coming back to a neutral spine, taking the shoulder blades down the back, pressing into the palms nice and evenly. We're going to extend the left hand and the right leg out in front and behind and find our balance. Holding here. So you have the option to hold here or bend through the right knee, taking the left hand to the right foot, pressing the foot into the palm, lifting up through the chest. And then releasing the foot, returning the hand and knee back to the mat. Extending the right hand and the left leg out in front and behind. Holding, using the core for control. And then the option to stay here or to bend through the left knee, taking the right hand to the left foot, pressing the foot into the hand, opening up through the right side of the chest. Releasing the foot, returning the hand and knee back to the mat. Gently shaking the hips from left to right. Coming down onto the elbows and rotating the wrists. Keeping the hips elevated up towards the ceiling. Placing the hands on the mat, slowly begin to walk the hands away from the body, looking up towards the fingertips. We want to drop the chest, the chin, or the forehead down on the mat, leaving the hips elevated up towards the ceiling. Stretching through the throat. Shifting our weight forward onto our forearms, tucking our toes, lift our knees off, coming into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, so lifting up with a straight spine. If you can keep the hands on the mat or you can place them on the shins, coming up a little bit higher. And then exhale, folding forward, bending through the knees slightly, inhaling the hands up to the ceiling. And exhale, folding forward, reaching down to the mat. Slowly walking the hands back out to downward dog. Spreading the hands nice and wide. Sinking down onto the heels. Coming up onto the toes, sinking back down. If the hamstrings are tight, keeping the knees slightly bent here. Making sure to press the chest forward. Taking the right leg in the air. Bending through the right knee, stepping the right foot to the right hand. Stepping the left foot to the left hand. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling the hands up and over your head. Placing your palms together and lowering them down to the heart center. Taking a breath here, releasing the hands and finding mountain pose. Adjusting clothing if you need to. Standing with the feet hip width apart. Tucking the tailbone, shoulder blades down the back, taking up space. Feeling the body, taking a deep breath into the belly. While we stand in this pose, we're gently going to lift the heels and then drop back down. Lifting up and dropping, and then making it a little bit quicker, allowing the arms to hang from the shoulders. And now we're going to do this as we gently turn to the left, keeping the feet where they're supposed to be, and then back to center. And now to the right. And back to center. Rolling the shoulders up to the ears and down the back. And then inhaling the hands up. Exhale, folding forward, placing the hands down onto the mat. Stepping the right foot back. Stepping the left foot back into plank. Option here to drop down to the knees as we bend through the elbows to the bottom of the push-up. We're going to drop the hips down to the mat and press up into cobra. If the back's a little tight, keeping the elbows slightly bent and not bending as far. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Once again, coming up onto the toes and sinking down into the heels. Slowly walking the hands back towards the feet into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending through the knees, inhaling the hands up to the ceiling. And exhale, folding forward. Placing the hands on the mat, slowly walking the hands back out to downward dog. Taking the left foot into the air. Bending through the left knee, stepping the left foot to the left hand. Stepping the right foot to the right hand. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees, inhaling the hands up and over the head. Placing the palms together and lowering down to the heart center. Releasing the hands and finding mountain pose. Standing confidently, feet hip width apart. And we're gently going to lift the heels and drop the body. Lift and drop and turn to the right. Twisting the torso, keeping the feet on the mat in their original positioning. And then back to center. And to the left. And back to center. As you do this exercise, you can imagine anything that's no longer serving purpose in your life dropping off. It can no longer attach to your physical body because it no longer serves purpose in your life or what you're wanting to do. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward. Stepping the left foot back, stepping the right foot back into plank. The option to drop down to the knees as we bend through the elbows to the bottom of the push-up. Drop the hips, press into the hands, straightening through the arms into cobra. And then we're going to sit back onto the heels, walking the hands back, Taking the knees out as wide as the mat, gently moving the upper body left to right, settling the forehead down onto the mat. Taking a breath here. Lifting the head, taking the right hand, sliding it underneath the left arm, dropping the right shoulder down to the mat. You can take the right palm up to the ceiling or down to the floor, whichever feels more comfortable. Twisting through the spine. To deepen the stretch, you can walk the left fingertips over to the right side of the mat. Pressing into the right hand, opening up through the chest, looking up towards the ceiling. Walking the left hand back to the left side of the mat, pressing into the palm, sliding the right hand back out in front. Taking the left hand, sliding it over to the right. Palm up or palm down. Dropping the left shoulder to the mat. With the option to walk the right palm to the left side of the mat, opening up through the chest, looking up towards the ceiling. And then slowly walking it back to the right side of the mat, pressing into the palm and then sliding the left hand back out in front. Dropping the forehead down to the mat for one breath. And then slowly walking the hands back towards the knees, sitting onto the heels. We're going to come up onto our knees, facing the left side of our mat. Extending our right foot to the short angle of the mat, making sure that our left knee is underneath our hip and that our right foot is on a 45-degree angle. Depending on your hip mobility and range of motion, you can either walk the hands in front, sinking down onto that right heel. So we're wanting to get the glute as close to the heel as we can, or you can place the hands in front. You'll stretch through this hip and through this one. We're going to take a deep breath in, pressing into the foot, and exhale, sinking back down. Inhale, and exhale, sinking down. Again. Two more here. Inhaling, and exhale, sinking a little deeper, keeping the heel on the mat. One more time. Holding here. Placing the hands down in front. We're going to turn to face the short angle of the mat, walking the right foot over to the right side of the mat, taking the hands on the inside. Tucking the left toes, lift the left knee off the mat, rocking back and forwards on the left foot, stepping the left foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees, inhaling the hands up to the ceiling, slightly back. Joining the palms together and lowering them down to the heart center. Releasing the hands. Finding mountain pose, finding balance on 2 feet. Here we are going to inhale the hands and the right knee up to the ceiling and hold. If you struggle with this, you can use a wall. We're going to take the left hand onto the right knee, the right hand behind the body, and twist and look toward the right fingertips. Twisting through the spine. And then taking the right fingertips back to the right knee, interlacing the fingers, drawing the knee up into the chest. And then releasing the foot back down onto the mat. Finding mountain pose, you might like to lift the heels a couple of times here or rock backwards and forwards on the toes and heels, finding your stability on 2 feet. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward. Stepping the right foot back, stepping the left foot back. Option to drop to the knees as we bend through the elbows and inhale, cobra. And then we are going to walk the hands back towards the knees as we sit onto the heels. Lifting up and coming back to a kneeling position. This time you can choose to turn to the right side of the mat, or you can turn to the left again, extending the left leg out to the short angle of the mat. Making sure that the knee is directly underneath the hip and the line of the body, and that the left toes and foot are on a 45-degree angle. Once again, you can lean into this stretch, placing the hands on the ground, or you can place the hands together at the heart center. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale. Three more. And holding here. Keeping the heel on the mat, breathing into the hips. Releasing the hands down to the mat. We're going to turn to the short angle of the mat, walking the left toes over to the left side of the mat, placing the hands on the inside of the leg, pressing forward with the hips. Tucking the right toes, lift the right knee, rocking on that right foot, stepping the right foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees, inhaling the hands up and over the head, placing the palms together, and lowering down to the heart center. Releasing the hands, finding mountain pose. Finding your balance as we shift our weight onto our right foot. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling as we lift the left knee. Taking our right hand down to the left knee, left hand behind the body as you twist and look towards the left fingertips. If you need to, holding the wall here. Shoulder blades rest down the back. And then the left hand returns to the left knee, interlaces with the right fingers, pulling the knee into the chest, and then releasing the foot back down to the mat. Coming up onto the toes, finding balance again on 2 feet. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling. Exhale, folding forward, stepping the left foot back, right foot back into plank. Option here to drop down to the knees, bending through the elbows. Inhaling, cobra. Dropping the hips down towards the mat, breathing into the front of the spine. And then sinking back onto the heels into child's pose. You can walk the knees out nice and wide if you'd like to, gently swaying the upper body left to right. Dropping the forehead down to the mat. Taking a breath as the body settles. And inhaling up to tabletop, walking the knees in hip width apart. We're going to cross the ankles, sitting back onto the sit bones. Walking the feet out in front, finding the center of the mat. Walking the feet out straight, drawing the toes back towards you. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward. Taking in a couple of deep breaths here and folding deeper with each out breath. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and down by your sides. Bending through the knees, walking the feet onto the mat. Taking the hands behind the hamstrings, holding here. Leaning back until the arms are straight, using the core to stabilize, lifting up, opening through the chest. Option to stay here or to lift the feet, taking them up parallel to the ground. Leaning back slightly and finding your balance. Third option is to release the hamstrings, taking the hands out by your sides, lifting up through the chest, using the core to stabilize. Slowly returning the hands to the hamstrings and lowering the feet down onto the mat. From here, we're going to take our hands out in front, slowly uncurling the spine, laying back onto the mat. Inhaling our hands up and over our head, straightening through our legs, drawing the belly button to the spine, feeling a straight line between fingertips and toes. Lowering the hands down by our sides, bending through the knees, walking the feet onto the mat. Tucking the shoulder blades down the back. What we're going to do here is step into the heels, lift the hips up towards the ceiling. You can come up onto the shoulders, walking the feet and the hands closer together, lifting the hips as high as you can. Breathing. And then slowly uncurling the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, lowering the hips down to the mat. Taking the left foot onto the right knee, drawing in the right hamstring or shin, keeping the head and shoulders down on the mat. With each out breath, drawing the legs a little closer towards you. Breathing into the left hip. And then releasing the right leg, lowering the foot down to the mat, taking the left foot back to the mat. Right foot onto the left knee, drawing in the left hamstring or shin. Taking in a few deep breaths. Allowing the legs to sink closer towards you with each out breath. Allowing the right hip to open. Releasing the left leg, returning the foot to the mat. Placing the right foot down onto the mat. Walking the feet out to the left and right edges of the mat, taking your hands down by your sides, gently swaying the knees from left to right with the breath. Breathing in, dropping them one direction, and exhale, taking them back the other. Releasing through the spine. And then dropping them both to the left, allowing gravity to pull them closer to the mat with each out breath. Breathing into the belly here. Drawing your awareness to your breath. Slowly lift the knees back to center and then drop them to the right. And then slowly drawing the knees back up to center. For the last few minutes, we're just going to join the soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to fall out to the left and right edge of the mat. If the hips are tight or if this pose is uncomfortable for a longer period of time, you can place pillows beneath the legs as they fall out to either side. Once again, returning the hands to the chest and to the belly, and just observing the breath. Observing the length of the breath. Feeling the expansion and contraction of the chest and the belly. Surrendering the knees to gravity, stretching through the hips. Scanning the body, noticing any sensations, noticing any tension. Allowing that tension to melt away. Allowing the ties to anything you're holding on to dissolve. Relieving the body of any weight, of any heaviness. Visualizing the cords as they dissolve. Feeling a peace and a calmness wash over the body. From head to toe. Feeling a space in the mind. As thoughts are released. Allowing clarity. Allowing the mind to rest and restore. Gently drawing the knees back together. Gently swaying them from left to right. And then drawing them into the chest, placing the hands on the knees, circling the knees. And then back in the opposite direction. And back to center. Rolling onto your left side. Allowing your head and your heart to settle. Taking in a breath here. And when you're ready, slowly coming up into a seated position with the legs crossed. Rolling the shoulders up to the ears and down the back. Taking a breath here. Taking your hands together at your heart center. Showing yourself gratitude for making time to join me on the mat today. For taking time out for yourself to fill your cup. Namaste. Hope you've enjoyed today's practice, and I look forward to seeing you Wednesday night for restorative yoga and sound bowls. And Melissa will be here with you on Wednesday at 12:30 for another Hatha Flow. So thank you for joining me today, and have a brilliant day.